Hello, and welcome back to Surviving to Thriving for Highly Sensing People. And I'm your host, Tammy Goen, where I help you walk through all kinds of different things about high sensitivity, helping you to decrease overwhelm and just learn to embrace the trait, honor yourself for being highly sensing, so it becomes your superpower rather than a struggle. And today is really off the cuff and is a recorded session because I was not able to present live this week, and it provided an opportunity to really address, make some things really pertinent that have come up recently, and it's a good opportunity. So I'm back, and I'm just going to share really briefly. I had a very significant loss this week, and I've really been reeling from that. And I knew that on Wednesday, I was not going to be able to be 100% here for you and do what I needed to do. And I needed to take care of me so that then I could be helping you. And just needed to really honor that. So I'm not going to go into any details. The last thing I want is for you to pick up all of my sadness and all of my strife going through this issue. But it really did give me that pause to consider some things that I have been addressing in terms of honoring both energy and our feelings. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time to share what's come up with that and make that relevant, so that it makes sense for you and you can use that going forward as well. So in terms of our energy, because of what I was dealing with, I really was tanked. I did not have any energy for anything. I couldn't focus on anything. So the last thing I needed really was to try to really fine tune my focus and be 100% present, because I knew that was just not going to happen. And so I was able to honor that and give myself some time, some days to not have any expectations, not have any pressing needs, anything that I needed to do. I just released everything, changed my schedule, rescheduled appointments. And then I just acknowledged that I can only do so much and I need to have enough bandwidth to be able to do it. And that was the best thing that I could have done for both myself and my viewers, because I couldn't really be present at all, probably not without even breaking down in the middle of my presentation. So really honoring that was what I needed to do for me, and I hope that I'm conveying that to you in a way that allows you to give yourself permission whenever things do happen. Sometimes it's not anything major, even sometimes we just have a day when we are just wiped out, or we just don't know what to do with something, we're a little bit lost, whatever it is. And we just have that sense that we can't manage anything else coming in, or any of the projects that we need to do, or deadlines, or anything like that. We just know that's not going to go well. But we have this need to push and make everything seem okay and make it all work out. But we can't always do that. So when we can acknowledge, oh, wow, I'm in this tough spot right now, what I really need is to take care of me. And then I will be able to take care of others when I've regrouped, when I've recharged, rather than expecting to do that with no reserves at all. So I hope that just helps you along that path of acknowledging that your needs are just as important, maybe just a little bit more even than everyone else's, or that you need to take care of those first before everyone else's, so that you can be there and be present. And I will be honest that I'm still not 100% here today, because my heart is heavy. I'm still dealing with things, but today was my first day of feeling somewhat human again. And so I thought this was the time to go ahead and do this presentation. So here I am, and I'm acknowledging that I'm not going to be 100%. I might falter here and there, and I made that okay, but I just wanted to get this out so that it gives you permission as well. Just recognize that things happen and we are not always 100% on, and that's okay. And we need to honor what our needs are every day, I mean, I talk about how it's really important to check in multiple times during the day. How am I doing? What do I need? And those are really, really significant questions that we can't just let pass until, like, well, if I have, time left at the end of the day, then I'll check in. We need to be doing it consistently throughout the day, and then honoring that. How am I doing? Oh, okay. If I stop and really think about it, pay attention, what's going on? I'm not really doing that great. I could really use some deep breathing, some downtime, some time away from my desk, some, a conversation with someone that's going to buoy me up right now, or whatever it is. Just acknowledging, yeah, there's something that could really help me in this moment to then be the person that I want to be going forward. It's really important to be honoring that. And if we don't schedule it in initially, or if we don't, keep ourselves really aware of that and do that check-in, then we're not going to be aware of it. It's not going to happen. And then we're going to end up overwhelmed, exhausted, etc. So really, really important to just honor wherever we are at. And one of the things I've talked about recently is that we have this tendency to compare ourselves with other people. So we can look at someone else and say, well, they've got all this stuff going on and they're doing fine. I should be able to manage this just fine. And I'm not. So there's something wrong with me, or I need to get it together, or I need to do something, to not be me. And the reality is, we don't know what's going on with those people and how they're handling it, what happens when they get home at the end of the day, or what's happening in their relationships or in other scenarios. We just don't ever know that. We can make those assumptions, and usually they're wrong. But we need to just acknowledge that no matter what other people are doing and how they're managing things, what's important is how we are doing and how we're managing things. And we need to ask ourselves those questions, those important questions about how we are doing, and really honor them. And then the other thing, that popped up about my experience with all this was looking at that idea of honoring the feelings. And as I mentioned, I mean, it's been a very, very rough week for me, and my feelings have been extreme and like right on the surface and just so tumultuous all the time. And if I'm telling myself that I can't have those feelings, or it's not okay that I'm still so sad or still so affected by this situation, then I'm going to develop things like guilt and feeling like I'm not okay for the feelings that I have. And that's never helpful either. That can be really challenging to add on to whatever it is that we're feeling. And we want to add guilt and all of shame and these things with it. That's not going to help ourselves. It's not going to help anyone else, because it's not going to help us move through. So being able to really honor where we are at with whatever the feelings are that are coming up for whatever it is that was happening. And it might seem like it doesn't have to be a huge event. It can be just a particular day that is just really, really hard. And maybe you're struggling with a relationship with a coworker or someone in your family, or something that you're expecting and it's just not happening. Those feelings can be really, really intense about those. And if we tell ourselves they're not okay, or we shouldn't have them, or we shouldn't allow other people to know that we're not 100% on, then that's a lot of pressure on us and a lot of judgment, second guessing, feeling that like we're not okay for the feelings that we do have. So it's really important to honor those. And I have gone through the gamut this week with my own feelings. And sometimes they were so intense that part of me, like sitting back and looking, was just almost shocked. Like, what is going on? This is crazy intense. Am I ever going to get through this? But I knew, part of me said, well, of course, this is temporary. That's one of the tools that's really useful to remember. Whatever I'm feeling right now is temporary. And then every time that I could possibly fit in something like deep breathing or a little bit of meditation, even though it didn't seem like it was really going to help or was what I really wanted to do in the moment, those things were helpful eventually to help me release a little bit. And then at some point I was able to do the energy feeling release technique that I've done a couple times on this program, where I just first honored all of the feelings that I was experiencing. There was a pretty primary sadness. but there were all kinds of other feelings coming up, and just honoring that that's where I was at and allowing for it and just acknowledging this is me feeling this way, and being able to do that for a little while. And then once I felt like I had really honored that that was okay, then I was able to use that technique to actually release some of that. And it doesn't make it 100% fine, like suddenly, everything's just fine and I'm no longer sad or no longer grieving. And that's not the case, of course. And each day is different, but having those tools to, help myself through each day was very helpful. And I was really glad to have those tools and be able to think of those things, even though I was aware that it's like, wow, I'm really deep in this grief right now. And it's making it really hard to just function. But I honored that and allowed myself to say, okay, I'm not going to expect myself to function so well for a little bit, and just be okay with that. And that alleviated a lot of the pressure and strain and expectation for, oh, I got to get through this really quickly so that I can do all these other things. Now, I was very fortunate. I mean, I work for myself and I create my own schedule, and I was able to shift things and allow myself that time. I know not everyone is always able to do that, especially if they work for others or if they have really pressing things scheduled. That can be really, really challenging. But at any place that you can give that that little net, that little cushion to just be and be with your feelings and experience them without expectation, even if it's just part of the day. I feel very fortunate I was able to do it the way I did it, where I just said I need to take a couple days, and they're just going to be for me, and I have no expectations whatsoever of myself, and release all the other things that I did have scheduled, and just let people know I'm sorry, I can't be present for what is going on, and I want to be present if I'm going to be connecting with you, and I can't let that happen. And of course, I had an energy session scheduled, and I knew that that was absolutely not going to be in the best interest of my client, because I would not have been present. I wouldn't have been a good channel for any kind of positive energy, healing energy. I needed to be acknowledging that was the case, and this is not in my client's best interest. So there's no reason for me to push through and try to make it happen. So that's maybe coming from kind of a heavy place, but I thought it was a good opportunity to be able to talk with you about just more examples of how it's so important to really honor where we're at with our energy, with our feelings and our needs, and just acknowledging that regardless of what other people are dealing with, whatever we are dealing with is what's most pertinent, and we just need to take care of us. Hopefully that was helpful, and I plan to be back on track for next time, and hopefully we can have a little chat after the presentation. So as always, feel free to reach out. You can send an email or connect with me through my website. You can schedule a session to chat, whatever works for you. If you want to talk about any of these topics, about your energy, about your feelings, anything that's going on for you. And I appreciate your patience and understanding as I moved through this phase, and hope to be 100% present with you next time around. So we will see you then.